Hey guys, Vazen's back again to talk about Vazen's most recent release, their 28mm T2.2 1.8 anamorphic lens for micro four thirds. On the outside, this lens looks very different from the 40mm, but what about the images it produces? The Vazen 28mm is tiny. It measures 10.7 centimeters, 4.2 inches from mount to front, and it weighs 720 grams or 1.6 pounds. The construction feels super solid and it has that trustworthy feel to it. The lens comes only in MFT mount, and that is Vazen's narrow target market. It's also aimed at folks making use of anamorphic modes on their cameras and shooting 4x3, as the 1.8 times compression will come out as 2.39:1 aspect ratio after de-squeezing. Focus throw is 150 degrees, coming from infinity down to 2'7" or 80 centimeters for minimum focus, featuring markings only in feet and on both sides of the lens. The front doesn't rotate and the lens doesn't change size while focusing. These two traits combined with its small size and weight make this lens great for gimbal work. Aperture ranges from T2.2 to T16, and both rings, focus and iris, are super smooth. And I could even ask for a bit more dampness on the iris. Both rings also come with standard gears for motors and have bright orange markings. The Vazen 28 has 77mm filter threads and 80mm front outer diameter, which makes it compatible with all sorts of cine accessories. This is quite a change from the 40mm, which has no filter threads and displays a 95mm front diameter, but even larger body diameter. Just like the 40mm, the Vazen 28 comes in a nice little case that makes it easy and safe to carry it around. Besides that, there's very few similarities. Let's tackle the big question here. What happened between these two lenses that the second one came out so different? It comes down to how they handle focus. When dealing with anamorphics, there are a few focusing methods. We have synchrofocus, which is what Sirui does, along with many older cine anamorphics. It synchronizes focusing for spherical and anamorphic blocks, but it suffers from reduced squeeze at close focus. Then we have variable diopter focus, which is like having a built-in Rapido FVD or Rectilux into the front of the system. That is how the Vazen 40mm works, along with some of the Atlas lineup, and even the Iskuramas. Variable diopters solve the changing squeeze factor, but they add a lot more bulk to the lens. Just look at it. Last, there's the variable astigmatizer method, which is the hardest one to explain and the most challenging to achieve through DIY. It is also the one used in Panavision lenses, and it keeps the squeeze constant and it doesn't add as much bulk as the variable diopters to the system. That is where the Vazen 28mm lands. It's a much more elegant focusing method than the other two, and it yields the strongest results. The lens has reached the market in early 2020, and it can be found at B&H and other retailers as well as Vazen's website. You can get your own for $3,250 US, and I wouldn't bet on finding this on eBay at least for a while. Now let's get into the technical stuff like resolving power, bokeh, distortion, flares, coverage, and all that. This lens is sharp by default. I feel it's sharper than the 40mm when wide open. We can see some purple fringing which goes away at slower apertures. The lens also sharpens up nicely when stopped down. The corners display significant light fall off regardless of aperture setting, and edge performance improves sensibly when stopped down, although it's not bad to begin with. The stretch factor is constant here, 1.8 times at 4 feet as well as at 20 feet. It's one of the perks of the new optical design. The distortion for this 28mm is surprisingly controlled, with a very uniform center and a little bit of bending around the edges. Very impressed by this, actually. Flares are nice and cool toned. I feel they're not as vivid as the 40mm. We have a wider variety of elements on these streaks, and I like how they bounce around the image. Bokeh is great. It has some cat eyes when wide open, especially on the sides. But at T4, the performance is pretty uniform across the frame, and it holds its shape even when stopped down further. When it comes to coverage, I shot a quick clip using the A7S II and Super 35 crop, applying a 4:3 crop to that. It shows the Vazen can get it covered for Super 35 anamorphic, but I couldn't get a clean repeat of that with the iris stopped down to prove that vignetting isn't just blurred out. I'd say the results here are inconclusive. Taking all of this into account, I really dig this 28mm. The smaller size and weight, plus the different focusing method are big upgrades when compared to the 40mm. This makes for a much more versatile and stealthy setup that delivers intense anamorphic vibes. I'm a big fan. I still don't love the font choices, color, and sizing of the text on this lens, but all the technical quality is there, and it would be silly to dismiss the lens because it doesn't look top-notch. In terms of consistent set, this 28mm doesn't match the 40mm in terms of diameter and placement of the focus and iris rings, which is a big deal in cine lenses. Unless Vazen is planning to redesign the 40mm, which would be awesome, this doesn't make for a super consistent set. What are your thoughts on this new Vazen? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm VESHZA, and I'll see you on the next episode.